That escalated quickly.
Holy Jesus.
At least I did it in style.
It is a cold winter's evening, and I have been alerted by Mechanical Hodor to come and meet them. First thing I need to do is find them, and then we need to work out why. And I've got a feeling it's to do with that black Focus. This is not a 4-banger.
It's definitely not a 4-banger. It is a 6-banger with a turbo. I took a leaf out of your book. I decided I needed some rear wheel drive with some power to go with.
So what is it?
It's a BMW M240i and 40i, not M2, because I don't sell enough drugs for that. Nevertheless, it's still a 6-cylinder. It has an 8-speed ZF automatic box with flappy paddles.
Nice. So, tell me though, is it the car you've always wanted?
No, but will you or I ever have the car we always wanted?
Oh, valid.
I don't think we'll ever have the car we always wanted. I mean, I know what it is for me. It's got a bull on the front and 10 cylinders and a V in the back.
What's on the modification of this then?
Nothing. I mean, we won't be modifying this car. It definitely doesn't need any more power. It'd be a complete waste of money, and I'd probably end up not liking it if I mapped it. Nothing, this car doesn't need modified, it's perfectly fine the way it is. Hi! So, the BM is perfect in every single way.
Right.
Apart from it's a wee bit quiet. Could you assist me?
Let's go. So on the BM, as we've just had a look underneath and discovered, it has a transverse mounted back box which looks something like this. So if you can imagine, that's the back wheels, that's the bumper of the car. From the back box there is a pair of pipes. On this side there is a valve which looks a bit like that.
Yes.
Now, you would like to think, okay, well in that case that's good. That will probably open straight from here, and on this side there'll be like the silencer. Into this there will go a route of gas through this baffle run a bit like this to half shut it the up, and then that will either dump out of here if this valve is open, or if this valve is shut it will get a second run of baffle pipe and come out here a lot quieter. We don't want to use this valve because it does currently do stuff that's linked to the ECU, and it's just a level of we don't need. So what we're going to do instead is this. We're going to cut a hole here, we're going to cut a hole here, we are going to install a valve here, and we're going to pipe like this, except obviously a lot neater. What we've managed to get is a little session on eBay, and we're going to flip to the end when this all arrives.
Ho, ho, ho! We have gifts a la Fleabay. Number one, 2 2/4 inch pipe.
2 2/4 pipe is what the tailpipe uses to go from the back box out on the wee horny things. We're going to mate into that. There's no point in going any smaller because it's a restriction we don't need to worry about. And there's no point in going any bigger because it's going to be an absolute bastard to get it to mate up.
Yep.
Therefore, 2 2/4.
This is a 3-inch sleeve join. So we're going to chop the back box off, work on it at the bench. It's going to be easier for him to weld. It's going to be easier for me with heart palpitations and general anxiety about my nice shiny car getting f***ing ruined. This is a 45-degree mandrel bent 2 1/4 inch exhaust. We need to route the exhaust round the side of the back box to give us the desired design we discussed earlier, so this is the best way to go about that. We also have clamps. Get the clamps! And the rest of that is just all mandrel bend, and now we get to the really good stuff. So this kit is actually designed to basically allow you to cut in your own valved bypass to a 2 1/4 inch system. Which is why it has this. So basically you would chop the standard system in these in this measurement and then just slide this in and you're done. Obviously we're being a bit different about that. What we're going to do is put 2 1/4 inch pipe onto the 3-inch standard system. So we'll be doing the grinding and the welding, I'll be doing the grinding, the cutting and all that stuff because I want to actually succeed at something for a change, but I'm still not a welder and that's going to take time. Tommy's a welder. This is the valve. It's also obviously attached to a plate. And this will go between the V-band exit that we saw a minute ago and the other side, which is where the actual feed will come from the exhaust on the car. And then this leads to a control box. The control box plugs into a 12-volt cigarette lighter slot in the boot, which is fabulously simple to do. I've lost the keys, but on my keys there's a fob that remotely opens and shuts this. The idea being, we have a nice volume control that I can use at leisure, and when I'm driving in and out of nice, quaint villages and housing estates, I can open it and deafen everyone.
Where are you going?
England.
Oh.
Nah. We also have these gaskets, which is great. So we also have this, operation instruction.
Sounds Spanish.
We're going to measure a sort of, a point of, what's the word I'm looking for? To maintain the original measurement.
Datum.
Okay, we need a datum point, so we're going to say, for the sake of argument, from here to here is 30 centimetres, and when we reattach it, it should still be 30 centimetres. We're then going to cut straight through here, start with a grinder just to create a groove, and then I've bought a reciprocating saw, so we're going to slice the back box off. We're then going to take these two, I think they're 13mm bolts out, drop the whole back box, get the car outside safely out the way, and then the real fun begins. I feel like I've achieved something in my life.
Now comes the realisable moment. Here's what you could have won if you just bypass the exhaust completely, forever. Hi everybody! Welcome to what the actual box looks like when it's off the car. This, as you can see, is far removed from the diagram I drew on the board because now it's in 3 dimensions. We see there's a pipe there, and here, a good 6 inches lower than it, is the entry pipe. I assumed it kind of went in here, but it doesn't. So that's not the only issue we've found so far though. The 3-inch sleeve is actually flared to exactly the size this pipe is. This, if anyone's going to attempt this at home, isn't 3-inch, it's really like 80mm rather than 76. So that's our plan completely shot and out the window. Except it's not. Because as we know that this flare does not work, what we have instead is actual 3-inch pipe, and that goes straight in like that. So that solves our problem for mating it back onto the car. What we'll need to do is make sure this sleeve goes on to the other end of where that lives on the car, and we'll probably just cut some grooves in and exhaust clamp it. We're not going to repeat the process on here because why bother, we can actually weld this, it's off the car. We'll need to sleeve it in one end to get it to join back on. So the first step we're going to do today is weld this back on. Following that, it's time to see how we're going to get from here to here, including a valve. Now, if I had a look under the car, there's loads of room. I've removed the mount, that goes up the way, so nothing needs to worry about intruding here. Now, if we look at where the valve would roughly sit, which I would say is approximately here, that dump pipe, which I presume where there's dumped somewhere else in the car, actually angles perfect to sleeve into here. So I think what we'll do is we'll just get a straight length of pipe here with a fillet cut on it, and that will feed into this. Then we repeat the process for the outlet into this pipe here. First things first, because we're going to be welding, we'll need to clean up every surface we're going to weld to. So that's going to involve a flat disc.
Okay, so the next part of the process, now that Tommy's welded on, quiet those things are. Now that Tommy's welded on the sleeve, we're going to cut this off because we want to retain the flange piece, but we don't want the original pipe. So I'm just going to stick it in the grinder, not the grinder, I'm going to stick it in the thing that clamps things. It's called a vise, not a grinder. And then I'm going to use the grinder and cut it all off.
What we're going to have to do here is obviously some precise measurement to get all of this exactly where it needs to be, but we don't need to do that yet. What we do know is that we're going to put this on from here to here. Now I've put a wee line there just to say this is exactly what it needs to be, and what I'm going to do all the way through this until it's do's time is just tack weld it. So I'm going to tack weld this in place, and then we're going to move on to scalloping the part that goes into here.
That is f***ing tight.
It's tight, but it's the last piece of the puzzle, which means it's easy to make sure it's absolutely bang on. Oh, hello. V-band, very JDM, you. Maximum tuner.
Well, that's a Street 6 Turbo, hashtag Supra.
Well, if you ever need to do this on the car, it's a complete one.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, we have made a degree of progress.
Made a few degrees of progress actually.
Hi, degrees being the
Oh.
So, what we've got here is our 45 degree takeoff tacked on, all of this assembled. We've also tacked on a 45 here just to sweep up to meet the tailpipe, and what I'm doing right now is profiling the part that's going to weld in. Now what I've realised, I could probably make life a wee bit easier for myself
by getting that out of the way.
By just giving it a slight tweak like that.
Ah, yes, of course.
Just enough. Oh, that's a lot closer. Yes. Yes, so what we need to do here is just many bits of measure it, cut, grind, measure again, cut, grind, because I'm not an expert and I'd quite like to get this right, which means not making an absolute of it.
So, I've removed this grommet. This lives in here, and that leads directly down to the underside of the car, so this is pretty much perfect in terms of a pathway for us to feed our cabling into the boot. So we're going to run it through there, but it's obviously very important that we don't have any water getting in, so we're going to need to feed the cable through this, get a drill piece, and then reattach it and solder it up, clean it up, and just generally make sure it's all weatherproof. Once we make the hole, feed the cable, we're going to just smother it in silicone sealant, and that should hopefully keep out the weather. Let's start with a drill, and then we'll get a drill piece. I'm going to go for something relatively small. That's the hole made. Now I need to make it bigger. Story of my life. So I've been a busy lad routing cabling. What have you been doing?
So as you can see, there's a wee line drawn around there, and that has a purpose. That's the hole we need to cut out for this last part, which we're just about to tweak a wee bit and then weld in place.
Fantastic.
So we'll probably dress this up and tack weld it so we've got the alignment right. Then we'll take the whole lot off, cut all our holes, offer it back up and weld it properly. And that will be the end of my job.
we have cuts. This is where our feed is going to come from. Interestingly, when Tommy was cutting this, we actually came into contact, unsurprisingly, with this because it was sleeved in, so I had to cut through twice, which was an event. And then obviously at this end, this is where the tailpipe leads out to the world. Yeah. What time is it now?
It's fucking party time!
Are you having fun?
Yeah. It's a tight fit.
It's got an aura of engineering about it.
Aye. There's no actual engineering, just an aura of it. Oh yeah!
Hi everybody. So we're at the final stages of preparing the newly modified back box, and doesn't it look the tits?
It looks something.
So we have a valve, the bypass pipe, exactly what was drawn up earlier on today. All we've got left to do is reattach it to the car, and then obviously finish off the electronics piece because we need to cable the actual valve to its controller. So the next thing, we're going to cut most of this pipe off here. We've decided to leave about a centimetre for the cutting mess, basically.
Wastage, we'll call that wastage.
1 centimetre of wastage, plus another 3 inches, which is going to sleeve onto the stock system. So I'm going to chop this off, clean this up, bring the car back in and call it a day.
You can always tell the beginner when it comes to gloves, because when they put the gloves on, they'll actually strap them, thinking that's me for the day, I'll never need to take the gloves off again. No! Right, so that looks absolutely pitching.
Right, well, shall we listen?
Haha, badass.
I don't even know what the German word for track is. Schleife. And we've got 4 of these because we're obviously going to need to path the thing. We're going to need to. Are we filming?
Yeah! So, that's our in pipe. There is some witchcraft and f***ery that goes on in here.
Excuse me. This side.
Is it?
Aye.
We're looking from above.
It's at this side. The valve's here, the feed's here, the empty side's here. It's because every photo we have used to design this is from eBay, where the exhaust line upside down. So
Are you sure? Because the exhaust does look like it comes in from the driver's side.
Oh, let me double check. I hope I'm not wrong with this because it'll look like a right tip. Damn, yes, I'm a right tip.
Okay, so now that we know that once again I am correct.